So Xbox Game Pass has just gotten too big now, and I decided to make a massive list of the best 60 plus Xbox Game Pass games you can't miss this 2024. This list has RPGs, open world games, racing, action adventure, co-op, and a whole lot more. So with that, let's dive into this and start this list off with one of my personal favorite games of the past 2023, that is Starfield. Now this is a true space RPG from Bethesda, and I admit guys, it has been a bit polarizing to say the least. You either kind of love this or you hate it. Personally though, for me, I'm a big fan with over 100 plus hours now, and Starfield honestly offers a gripping main story that does reel you in right from the start. But I personally found myself exploring and taking on a myriad of the side quests that are almost endless in this game. I think they're pretty dang fun, especially when you explore different cities and you meet the local folks settled on different planets around this huge galaxy. Now, many of the major cities in this game are filled with NPCs with their own unique cultures and lifestyles, so it makes it fun when you land in one of these new areas and you get to kind of run around and explore and talk to people and find new missions. Then, as I said, you've got side quests with backstories that can pretty much take you on some wild rides, and for me, these were as memorable as the main quest line. Now, as for the combat, I think it's a blast, but you do have to unlock a lot of the more core combat skills that make it a lot more fun compared to the start of the game, where I do admit it gets a little boring. I do find it fun and challenging if you raise the difficulty, and you can totally deck yourself out with an arsenal variety of fully customizable weapons and mods. And guys, I'll admit, the game isn't perfect by any means, but if you've played a Bethesda title in the past, like any of the Fallout games or Elder Scrolls, you won't see a huge difference in the way this plays. But for me, overall, I think this is a must-play RPG title for fans who love sci-fi space adventures. Now, Starfield isn't the only space-themed game on this list. We also have Prey. This is an exciting sci-fi thriller that takes you on a wild ride aboard the Talos, a space station gone completely bonkers after a failed experiment that was supposed to change the fate of humanity forever. Here you play as Morgan, a key subject of this experiment who finds himself stuck on this spaceship now overrun by fierce alien monsters. Now it's just you against a horde of mutants, and the only way is to figure out what went wrong and fix it before you become their feast. If you're into gripping stories and intense gunplay, Prey's a great game to play on Game Pass. Now our next game, Valheim, is a total standout indie title in the survival game universe. Valheim's all about surviving in a Norse mythology inspired Viking world where you start with nothing but a piece of cloth and a rock. Much like Rust, you've got to learn the ropes of survival in a mythical land packed with wild beasts and all sorts of strange creatures. Now you've got all the usual survival stuff, resource gathering, crafting, hunting, fighting, you name it. But what makes Valheim different, besides of course the whole Vikings touch, is the killer co-op gameplay that lets you tag along with your buddies as you fight in the name of Odin. Now another awesome part about Valheim is it's one of the most friendly single player survival games I've ever seen as well, so whether you have friends or you go solo, this is still one of the best survival games to play this 2024. Now while we're on the topic of ancient mythologies, I think Immortals Fenyx Rising also deserves a mention. In this game you embark on a mythical adventure to save the Greek gods from a dark curse. With the help of their godly powers, you're going to be battling against some colossal monsters, solving some challenging puzzles, and explore a massive open world filled with loot and lore, and you'll be uncovering the dark secrets of this mythical land. Now Fenyx Rising offers a fun mix of open world exploration, puzzle solving, and of course epic combat, and it's also great for beginners as there's plenty of resources that really keep you out of trouble when things get hard. If you guys are looking for a fun action adventure game, honestly you can't go wrong with Immortals Fenyx Rising. Now speaking of games that are pretty short, I think As Dusk Falls also a great bite-sized adventure that you will definitely love. The plot of this game kicks off with two families tangled up in a motel robbery in a small town, and now the fate of their existence gonna be lying in your hands and all the decisions that you make. As Dusk Falls is kind of like watching an animated movie that you can control with the choices that you make, and it's not your typical story-driven game either. It's more like a motion comic with real people telling their stories, and it's really up to you that they don't end up dead. But you know what the best part about this game is? You can actually play this game cooperatively with up to 7 other friends, either locally or online, which makes things so much more interesting. So Sea of Thieves is really the ultimate first-person experience that lets you live the exciting life of a pirate. This game's all about teaming up and doing pirate stuff with your crewmates, from treasure hunting in deep ends of the Caribbean Sea to fighting skeletal monsters or abandoned islands. There's so much going on in this game. The combat is really fun as well. You can fight battles on your ships while screaming orders at your crewmates, or just dive headfirst into solo combat with your makeshift weapons. There's no last one standing here, and there's just a load of pirate fun adventures. So I've gotten to play a ton of action shooters in my life, but nothing's just quite like High on Life. It's an absurd shooter that throws you into the world invaded by junky aliens who want to use humans as their drug source to get high. The game's more like a gallery of vibrant and diverse worlds, each with their own unique color palettes and impressively quirky creatures. However, the main attraction of this game is the guns, and by the guns I mean these small, loud, crazy aliens in the shape of guns that chat with you while you fight off aliens from turning humans into their drug stash. High on Life is surely going to keep you hooked for hours with its awesome visuals, a healthy dose of absurd humor that's gonna have you cracking up while playing this game while shooting it out with some crazy aliens. This next game is very different from everything we've mentioned so far in Stardew Valley. This is the ultimate chill farming game where you get to kick back and relax in your own little farm. It's like a 2D pixelated farming sim where you are free to do anything you want. You can grow crops, you can raise animals, you can go fishing, attend community events, you can decorate your farm, you can even deep dungeon dive if you want, or simply just chat with the local town folk. The possibilities here are truly endless. It might look simple, but there's a lot of depth in this game, and if you enjoy farming sims, Stardew Valley is sure to keep you guys hooked for many hours. You are the boss here, you choose the task, you set the pace, and you do things that just like make you feel happy. There's really no rush whatsoever with this game. Staying on the games that are pixelated, we have one that was a sleeper this 2023, and that's Sea of Stars, and I think this could be the best indie game of this past year. It's nostalgic yet refreshingly modern RPG experience that knows exactly how to keep you engaged. In this game, you play as two children of Solstice, and your mission is to defeat this very evil Fleshmancer. Sea of Stars offers an innovative turn-based combat experience that blends action and timing to boost damage and strategic play without that classic RPG grind. Despite its retro look though, this game features a very in-depth exploration. You'll be doing things of course like swimming, climbing, and leaping across the world without grid restrictions like in most traditional games. This is a great title for someone who's looking for a modern take on classic RPGs. So the game Ghostwire Tokyo is one of my favorite supernatural adventure games that takes you on an epic journey through a beautifully twisted version of Tokyo. Evil yokai spirits have taken over the city, and they're just wreaking havoc on everything that dare stands in their way. And now it's up to you to save your city using your elemental abilities that allow you to swiftly parkour around and then fight these monsters. If you're someone like me, you'll definitely fall for the epic fights in this game, the exciting cutscenes, and of course those stunning visuals that really add more life to the game. So if you prefer to keep things almost realistic, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands just might be your speed. In this game you play as Ghost, a highly skilled covert operative sent on a high-stakes mission to fight and eliminate the Santa Blanca cartel that's been oppressing the residents for years. This is an absolute thriller of a game with a vast open world, jaw-dropping landscapes, heart-pumping action, and the very best part, it's a co-op adventure that lets you tag along with up to 3 friends and create your little military dream and use your own unique skills to take down the oppressive regime. If you guys want to play this completely solo though, you absolutely can, and you can control the AI pretty well. This is a very much a little hidden sleeper of a game, and one that I absolutely recommend. So the LEGO Star Wars Saga is yet another epic action adventure game that brilliantly combines the epic story of Star Wars and of course the cute looks of LEGO, and it makes this really cool adventure that anyone of any age can enjoy. Now us Star Wars fans get to journey through all 9 major movies in the saga with over 300 characters to choose from. Characters like Obi-Wan Kenobi, you can even play evil villains if you want. The game is massive with over 23 unique explorable planets with more than 100 awesome vehicles to travel with in style. But the thing that I love the most about this game is the fun combat. A Star Wars game just isn't incredible without a lightsaber duel that always gets really super epic. Our next game is Wartales. This is an innovative new tactical RPG set in a vast open world where you actually don't play as the hero trying to save the kingdom for once, but you're actually just another character who's trying to survive in a brutal land. It's a game all about assembling your group of mercenaries, each with their own quirks and talents, to explore the villages and ancient ruins nearby. But survival isn't about just getting by in this game, it's about taking the power from the big shots, conquering their lands, looting resources, and sometimes helping the innocents. Wartales is a shared cooperative adventure that lets you have a fun time with your friends, planning sieges, battling enemies, and sharing stories by the campfire. Alright Pokemon fans, if you're up for a fresh take on monster taming, I think Cassette Beasts might just be that next go-to game. It's not your average Pokemon knockoff though. Cassette Beasts offers a pretty unique and innovative game gameplay that makes it stand out in the monster taming genre. Instead of you just kind of catching monsters, you actually record them on your retro cassette tapes and you play them back during battles to gain their abilities and you become one of them. The game even lets you combine two beasts together to create a completely unique one that can help you defeat fierce rivals. But the best part is, Cassette Beasts also lets you tag along with one of your friends in couch co-op mode for the ultimate battle experience. If you're looking for a Pokemon fix on your Xbox, I think this is a great alternative. So we have Psychonauts 2, the sequel to the fan favorite Psychonauts game that not only met our expectations, but honestly, I think it takes the series to a whole new level. In this game, you play as Raz, a psychic hero who is tasked to find the moles secretly working in their organization. And while you're at it, you also need to figure out the reason behind your leader's strange behavior. So it ends up being time to put your psychic hat on and show your acrobatic skills as you jump, fly, and blast your way through challenging obstacles in this epic platforming adventure. Now, this is a great game for someone who just loves an unconventional story with some thrilling gameplay and of course challenging puzzles. Now, if you're an RPG lover, I have the game for you, and that's Persona 5 Tactica. The latest addition to the long-running Persona series brings back the epic JRPG experience with a thrilling new story that progresses within the same timeline as Persona 5 Royal, and it introduces a brand new tactical combat system. In this game, you take control of a squad of up to 3 characters battling it out in a tactical grid, and these battles are strategic and challenging, but also relatively easier to get a hold of as a total beginner to the Persona series, which is key. So whether you are new to this series or a longtime fan, I think this is a must-play RPG if you have Game Pass. If not, go ahead and enjoy any of the other Persona games on Xbox Game Pass, because honestly, you can't go wrong with any of them. So Gotham Knights is one of the more recent additions to the Batman universe without, well, Batman himself. That's right, with Batman gone, Gotham Knights puts the fate of the crime-ridden city in the hands of Batgirl, Nightwing, Red Hood, and Robin, all to keep the criminals in check. Now, for those who are expecting kind of like a similar gameplay to Arkham Knight, well, it's totally different, but it's good in its own way. It's fast-paced, it's impactful, it's fun, especially when you get the hang of its team-based combat and gear combos. Sure, it is a little different from Gotham without Batman, but trust me guys, this is worth a spin, especially with your friends. Now it's time to dive into the grim darkness of the future with Warhammer 40k Darktide. This co-op shooter throws you and your friends into this merciless Warhammer universe for an epic co-op adventure that's unlike any other Warhammer game. Tertium's Hive City is your battleground, where you and your squad are tasked to investigate the mysterious happenings while shooting your way to reach the source. Now, Darktide lets you choose from a variety of different classes, each with their own unique skills and abilities, who can work together as a team to take down hordes of enemies from hell bent on ripping you apart. The biggest draw to this game though is the amazing visuals that you'll see on the Xbox Series X and S, and of course the intense fun action fast-paced gunplay that's honestly some of the best that you'll play all year. Speaking of co-op shooters, I think it'd only be fair to give Gears of War series a shout out here, especially Gears of War 4. This co-op action shooter title offers a combination of epic gunplay, light humor, and teamwork, and I like to think of this game as like a lighthearted arcadey take on the usual intense genre of action shooters, where players are tasked to rid the world of monsters while keeping their cool and making fun of some serious situations. The game also introduces new enemies, including the Saren Swarms and the DB robots, to keep things refreshing, and if you love playing together with your buddies, Gears of War 4 campaign also supports both 2-player split screen and couch co-op gameplay. Now, for all the Minecraft fans who are looking for a more combat-focused experience, Dungeons might be that perfect game. Set within the familiar Minecraft universe, Dungeons lets players take on the role of fierce warriors and fight evil monsters in a unique dungeon crawling experience. Players can choose to play alone or tag along with up to 3 friends in online co-op mode to share that burden. One of the things that I love about Minecraft Dungeons is that it lets you customize your character by playing around with gear, artifacts, and enchantments to suit your playstyle. With Minecraft's freedom and the Dungeon Crawlers Challenge, this game can keep you hooked for many hours with its incredible replayability. So Tunic is one of the most challenging action adventure games on this list. Now, it might look cute at first glance, but trust me, there's absolutely no hand-holding in this game. Tunic puts you in the paws of a cute little warrior fox who embarks on a mighty adventure through a gorgeous open world filled to the brim with ancient secrets. Speaking of which, the game pushes you to explore the world to find hidden pages of a guidebook that help you progress through the journey. Now, Tunic can be a little frustrating at the start, but as you progress, it gets so much better, especially with the combat. It's really super challenging and it requires you to really be on top of your reflex game as you dodge, parry, and attack your enemies to defeat them. And honestly, this is a great choice for players who like to enjoy traditional games, maybe like Zelda games of the past, so definitely put this one on your list. Now, if you're tired of being the good guy, I say Dungeons 4 is a good one. This game's all about being evil and constructing a dungeon that keeps the good guys at bay. That's basically the whole premise of this game. You need to create a maze-like underground base and fill it with all these cunning traps and obstacles and defenses that are gonna stop the forces of good. Now, there are many new additions and improvements in this latest installment, like territorial battles with the dwarves or unexpected invasions by pesky little crawlers and so much more. But the good news is you guys don't have to face this alone if you don't want. Dungeons 4 lets you team up with one of your friends to help you manage this immense responsibility, and this is a great game if you're looking for something just a little different from this entire list. I really feel our next game, Halo Master Chief Collection's the ultimate co-op grab bag for people who love heart-pumping action and thrilling team play. This package contains 6 mainline Halo games that you can play together with one of your friends in split-screen mode. If you're a Halo fan, I think this is a must-play collection if you happen to have Game Pass, as devs have not only upped the visual quality of these games, but also introduced some quality of life improvements to the gameplay mechanics, so that way old-timers can relive their best moments of the franchise and the newcomers can create fond new memories with a fresh coat of paint to keep things modern. Dishonored 2 is one of the best stealth action adventure games that's on Game Pass that puts you back in the shoes of a supernatural assassin set 15 years after the fall of Lord Regent. Dishonored 2 builds upon the story with players getting the choice to step into the shoes of either Corvo or Emily, each bringing their own unique stories, skills, and abilities to the table. Now, the game also introduces all new upgrade trees that really allow you to customize your abilities in totally different ways. But the thing that I love the most about this game are the gore-filled executions that become much more impactful with its gorgeous art. If you guys are a big fan of games centered around stealth, Dishonored 2 is one of the best on Game Pass. So Celeste is an exceptional precision platformer that puts you in the shoes of Madeline. This is a young girl with a backpack and a dream to conquer the highest mountain. Now, this might look like an ordinary 2D platformer with gorgeous pixel art, but there's more to Celeste than meets the eye. Of course, it has all the platformer mechanics that we're used to, things like jumping, dashing, and climbing over obstacles, which I really admit gets super challenging, but that's far from it. Celeste also offers a compelling story that explores sensitive mental health and self-discovery topics through the conversations that you have with people that you meet on your way to reach the top of the mountain. It might not look like much, but guys, this is one of the best indie platformers that's ever been made and one that I highly recommend. Now, Bramble the Mountain King is a bite-sized adventure game set in a dark and eerie world full of surprises. In this game, you play as Ollie, a caring young brother on a perilous journey to save his sister from an evil troll. Now, Bramble's all about exploring a dark world and solving challenging puzzles that'll really keep you hooked to the very end as you jump from one story to another, connected in a brilliant way. But it's not all story and no action. Bramble also features intense boss fights that can be very challenging but rewarding, and they definitely make up for it. It also has this really creepy vibe that just follows you around and really keeps you on your toes at all times. It's a short one and it only lasts about 4 to 5 hours to finish the main quest, but I definitely think this game's worth it. Now, if you're looking for an unforgettable co-op experience, you can't go wrong with the game A Way Out. This is a co-op adventure that throws you and a pal right into the shoes of 2 prisoners trying to plan a breakout, and this game takes the traditional co-op gameplay to a whole new level with a heavy focus on teamwork. You both will need to collaborate and sync your moves to crack puzzles, come up with escape plans, and execute them with perfection if you guys want to see the other end. What's even more awesome is that the 2 main characters, Leo and Vincent, also bring their own skill sets to the table that the players can combine to handle sticky situations and solve problems together that are specifically designed for 2 people. This is one of the best co-op games on Game Pass if you're looking for another buddy to play with, and honestly, you can't go wrong with this one. If you're in need of a breather from the everyday chaos, Jusant might be that perfect go-to escape. It's not your typical action-adventure game, but more of a relaxing mountain climbing journey with a focus on solving puzzles and exploring different cultures. Much like the game Celeste, Jusant puts you at the shoes of a young mountain climber on a mission to climb the highest mountain with his trusty old tools. But it's not just about reaching the top. Rather, it's about experiencing diverse civilizations civilizations and getting to know the people living on these mountains and joining them in their rich traditions. Jusant's really a treasure trove of hidden secrets and pathways, leading you through some seriously breathtaking landscapes that honestly makes you feel like you're taking a dream, a virtual trip through the mountains. Now, A Plague Tale: Requiem is the sequel to the beloved Plague Tale: Innocence game that continues the story but adds a lot more drama to the mix. The game puts you back in the shoes of Amnesia as she tries to start a fresh new life on an unknown island while looking for a cure to Hugo's growing illness. But things really hit the fan when Hugo's powers awaken and the two are once again on the run in this plague-infested world. While the gameplay still relies heavily on stealth rather than just all-out combat, players now have more freedom to fight back, with the siblings becoming more stronger and skilled. But it's the epic narrative and heartfelt moments that really steal the show here. I have to admit, it's one of the rare games that can really invoke a real-life emotional response by watching the unbreakable bond between the two and the trauma that they both go through together. If you're looking for a very epic journey and you're looking for that nice single-player game on Game Pass, this is one of the best here. Now, if you're looking for a good scare though, Amnesia the Bunker is your ticket to a horror-filled thrill ride. It's a survival horror game that puts you in the shoes of a French soldier who finds himself stuck in an abandoned World War bunker with no escape in sight. You have nothing but a trusty old gun and a flashlight to find clues, complete objectives, and make your way out. The game's all about holding on to your sanity as you solve puzzles, uncover hidden pathways, and complete objectives, and sometimes blow your way through obstacles to find an exit while a dark, mysterious entity is dreadfully following you around everywhere. It's a short 5-hour journey that'll keep you at the edge of your seat the whole way through. So Lies of P is one of the more recent additions to Game Pass that's received quite a lot of positive reviews, and the game might look like other traditional Souls-like games, but I think this game is unique enough to stand on its own, and I definitely think it's worth a shot. In Lies of P, you step into the shoes of a puppet character trying to get rid of the monsters who are controlling the city of Krat to bring back peace. But it's the Souls-like combat that has made this game so popular in the first place. It's fast-paced, it's intense, it's mostly brutal for beginners of the genre. Every single fight from the very beginning of the game just kind of keeps you fully invested as you perform insane combos taking down these colossal monsters. And it's a solid choice for fans of Souls-like games, looking for a fresh new take on the genre and at the same time looking for a unique and interesting story to go alongside it. Now, if you're looking for a classic horror thriller, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the one to go for. It's a gore-filled horror game that really draws its inspiration from the iconic 1974 movie, and the game lets you choose between the infamous Slaughter family or their terrified victims in an epic 5v5 competitive gameplay experience. But the game's genius actually lies behind its brutal gameplay. There's absolutely no hand-holding in this game whatsoever, and while many new players could find this difficult, it is by design that there's no instruction manual here, as the devs really want you to experience what it feels like to be in the shoes of these helpless victims if you go that route. This game is more about the experience than it is about competition, unlike Dead by Daylight. So if you're okay with that and maybe like a ton of gore, definitely give this game a shot. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is an exceptional action-adventure game that's really unlike any other that I've played. In this game, you assume control of a brave Celtic warrior who embarks on a mission to save her lover's soul trapped inside the dark Viking hell. Now, the reason why this game is so popular is its incredible accurate portrayal of mental illness as being one of those big reasons. It brilliantly combines the struggle of a person suffering from severe psychosis with intricate puzzles that often lead to subtle hints about what to do next. And while the combat is also a huge part of this game, Senua's Sacrifice doesn't lean too much on it. Instead, the eerie level design and the overall atmospheric tone of the game is what keeps you hooked to your screen until the very end of the game. I ended up beating this game many years ago, and to this day it's still one of my most memorable gaming experiences, so to say this has my recommendation would be an absolute understatement. However, if you're looking for a game that's a bit more action and less talking, Wolong Fallen Dynasty might just be that game for you. It's a fantasy action RPG title that puts you in the shoes of a nameless malicious soldier fighting for survival in a dark fantasy world full of demons. Now, it's not without its issues. There are several parts of the game that feels a little generic at times, like the moral system or the limited weapon combos, but if you're someone who thrives on lightning fast combat combined with stunning visual art and a little bit of a grindy progression system that lets you slay hordes of enemies before you reach the boss, you will still enjoy this game. Unlike the brutal Souls-like games, Wolong Fallen Dynasty is relatively easy to pick up and play for beginners, and I think this is easily one of the best games to play on Game Pass this 2024. So for me personally, Mortal Kombat 11 is still one of the ultimate choices for an arcade fighting game lover. Now, Mortal Kombat 11, while it's still a little bit older than the newest one that got released this year, I still feel this game comes packed with awesome features that take an already addicting gameplay of the old school Mortal Kombat games, and this one just brings it to new heights when it released years ago. Now, one of the things that you'll notice right away is that Mortal Kombat 11 is that it further emphasizes the strategic elements of the game, making the fights more about timing and counters than just all-out attacks. But that doesn't take the game away from its traditional over-the-top gore-filled fighting moves and combos. And on top of it all, the game also introduces features like crushing and fatal blows, which can be game changers in any single match. And us fans have been glad to know that many of the fan favorite characters from the previous games made a comeback alongside new faces in this one. It's a great one to enjoy if you're looking for some old school arcade battles with friends in a more modern package. While we're still on the topic of fast-paced, gore-filled action, Doom Eternal deserves a mention here. It's an absolute gem for someone like me who really enjoys those old-school classics with a modern twist. The game puts you in the shoes of a slayer once again battling the forces of hell, but this time the gameplay is more fluid, the enemies are as brutal as ever, and the visuals are just stunning. This game's all about going crazy and creative with your deadly arsenal and annihilating those demons every single step of the way. Besides the chaotic gameplay, Eternal also features a compelling storyline that is rich in lore and quite engaging to say the least, and everything just becomes more immersive with detail put in each level by the devs, and really the elevating soundtrack is also just going to keep you pumped all the way through with this game. Now, if you're looking for something a bit more sophisticated, you should give Deathloop a shot. It's an action-packed shooter where you take control of Colt, a deadly assassin stuck in a never-ending time loop on the island of Black Reef, and the premise of this game is quite simple. You are tasked to assassinate a target before the loop resets, which is every 24 hours in game time. The first few hours of this game kind of feel slow as you need to learn as much you can about your targets in order to eliminate them all, but once you've figured it all out and you planned your assassination, you can choose to go all guns blazing, shooting everything that moves, or take a more stealthy approach to keep your cover. It's a nice and unique take on action shooter genre with a great voice acting and beginner-friendly gameplay, and the AI could use a little bit more polish, but overall, if you're looking for one of the more unique shooters to have released in recent years and really show off your gunplay skills, then Deathloop needs to be on your list. It's time to turn the chaos up with Overcooked 2. This is a super addicting co-op cooking simulation game that's all about managing increasingly hectic kitchens with up to 3 players by your side. You and your friends will be chopping, cooking, and serving dishes in some of the most absurd and challenging environments. Overcooked 2 builds upon that chaotic gameplay of its predecessor, and it introduces more dynamic kitchen layouts that are always changing with more absurd incidents happening all around you. The game demands quick thinking, coordination, and a good sense of humor because at the end of the day, it's all about having a good time with your loved ones and friends while also having a chaotic gaming session. Now, while we're on the topic of teamwork and coordination, let's talk about my absolute favorite co-op game of all time, and that is It Takes Two. This is a couch co-op game that lets you and your partner take control of Cody and May, a couple transformed into cute little dolls and thrown into an unknown world that tests the strength of their relationship. And despite their differences, the two need to work together to solve puzzles, overcome obstacles, and take down enemies, and there's just so much more as they try to find their way back to the real world. Now, one of the things that makes It Takes Two so addicting is its ever-changing gameplay mechanics. You are not doing the same thing over and over. There is always a new challenge and new ways to overcome it, which keeps things really refreshing all the way to the very end. It Takes Two is the perfect game to play with your significant other or just a buddy, and trust me, it really strengthens the bond between the both of you playing this awesome game. In a similar vein to It Takes Two, we also have the game Unravel 2. This is yet another awesome couch co-op adventure that puts you in the shoes of two cute yarn characters who go through dangerous trials in a gorgeous world that really tests their bond of their friendship. Unravel 2 offers similar gameplay to It Takes Two, where both players have to work together in order to go through complex challenges, and you'll be swinging across gaps and dodging your way out of sticky situations, relying on each other's abilities to do so. And for that, you really need to be on top of your reflex game, as Unravel 2 often throws quick time events that require you to act swiftly and in sync to get through them. And it's a fun experience to share with a friend if you want to, but you can completely go solo solo if that's more your speed and that's just something you rather do than play with somebody else. So I love story-based games, and really nobody does it better than the actual Walking Dead series. This is a fan favorite narrative-driven adventure that keeps players on an emotionally gripping journey through a world ravaged by the zombie apocalypse. Set in a familiar universe as the original comic, The Walking Dead lets players take control of Lee Everett. This is a man looking for redemption for his past by helping a young girl Clementine through this apocalyptic wasteland. The game's all about making decisions and facing the consequences. The reason why so many players, including me, have loved this game is because there's kind of almost no right or wrong decisions. You just do what feels right to you and you watch kind of the story play out, but not all decisions will be easy. Some take courage as others' lives will depend on them. The whole series is a compelling mix of brain-teasing puzzles and exciting quick-time events, keeping the experience constantly gripping and exciting. So Grounded is a co-op adventure game that shrinks you down to the size of an ant and throws you into a massive backyard universe filled with creepy crawlies and mysterious secrets. And your task is to explore this massive universe brimming with the unexpected surprises to find a way back to just being normal. And you can do it solo, or you can tag along with 3 other players as you guys navigate different environments, from vast backyard ponds to creepy termite dens that we ever hardly pay attention to in real life. But Grounded isn't just about the miniaturized adventure. It also packs an intense combat system that pits you against a variety of these blood-sucking insects and bugs, and your character's arsenal includes powerful abilities and skills and a few deadly weapons that allow you to face these backyard critters. Now, if you're looking for a racing game, you could never go wrong with Forza Horizon 5. It's an all-in-one package that offers both arcadey and realistic driving experiences at once, and unlike old games, Forza 5 isn't just a solo ride. You can team up with friends or jump into the chaotic world of the Horizon Open mode, where you can race along 72 strangers from all around the world, or you could just choose to explore the massive open world that comes packed with a variety of stunning environments, from busy streets of Mexico to desolate deserts. And of course, you get to choose your ride from a massive variety of exotic and fully customizable vehicles. It's the ultimate racing game that I love, and of course this is available with Game Pass. Now, if you've ever dreamt of being a pilot without ever leaving your couch, Microsoft's Flight Simulator is that game. It's a global adventure that lets you cruise over the skyscrapers of New York, soar through the stunning Himalayas, or test your landing skills on multiple fully functional airports. And the thing that I love the most about Flight Simulator is that it lets you choose from all different types of real-life inspired planes that range from a tiny propeller plane to a massive commercial jet. It's the closest you'll ever get to experiencing realistic flight without actually becoming a pilot. Now, while we're keeping it at simulation games, I think it's worth mentioning City Skylines Remastered here. This city building sim title takes urban planning to a whole new level. If you ever felt the itch to build and manage your city, this game scratches that perfectly. And the remastered version makes the experience even better with enhanced graphics and improved performance, and you can do all sorts of stuff in this game, like designing intricate road networks or managing resources and responding to the needs of your growing population. It kind of turns you into both an architect and mayor at the very same time, and of course you'll be challenging your strategic thinking and your creative flair. If you're into city builders, guys, there's really no game better than City Skylines Remastered. If you're on the lookout for a game that's both addictive and a blast to play with friends, look no further than Deep Rock Galactic. This is the ultimate 4-player co-op FPS title that puts you and your friends in the shoes of space dwarves, armed to the teeth with deadly weapons. The game has you exploring a massive procedurally generated voxel planet filled to the brim with alien monsters. Players can choose from 4 different characters, including the gunner, the scout, the driller, or the engineer, each with their own unique skills and abilities that help create synergy between the team members, and it's already received overwhelmingly positive reviews from both players and critics alike, and I think this is one of the more hidden gems on Xbox Game Pass. Now, it's hard for me not to mention State of Decay 2 in every list, as this is one of my favorite games of all time. I'm also slightly biased. I have another YouTube channel called Sunny Games that's dedicated to this franchise. But guys, this game many years later is still getting major updates to this day, while they are working on the newest State of Decay 3, and it's one of the few sandbox PvE games on the market that kind of has a bit of everything that you're looking for. There's managing a huge community while trying to keep them alive, but also making sure you can gather enough resources to stay alive and maybe thrive and get ahead. The game has full permadeath characters and community, so if you're not on top of your game, you will lose characters that you've gotten to grow fond of. Of course, having to survive the apocalypse, managing your base of operations. Looting and exploring across these big sprawling maps just to survive is really just the tip of the iceberg, and it's why it's one of my favorite games on this entire list on Game Pass, and one that I think you have to dive in if you haven't already. Now, what I love about Outer Worlds is that it's a wild space adventure that's kind of a throwback to the good old RPG days, but with a modern twist. The game's set in a world where giant corporations run the show, and it's a dark, funny take on what can happen when capitalism goes wild and unchecked. Some of the gameplay elements will remind you of the Fallout series, but Outer Worlds is kind of more humorous. Even your companions can be very quirky, each with their own crazy personalities, stories, and jokes to tell, and of course backstories that you'll be following up. And then there's the combat. It's an absolute blast, even if it's not as complex as Fallout, but I still think it's a ton of fun, especially with the slow motion target mechanics that allow you to target specific body parts on enemies with ease. You also have a variety of powerful weapons at your disposal, from traditional firearms to sci-fi plasma guns. All of it can alter your playstyle according to your own liking. It's a perfect game for RPG lovers that keeps you hooked around 13 to 16 hours following just maybe the main story and you don't do anything else. But if you're like me and you want to do all the side quests and learn everything that this entire universe has to explore in this game, you can get about 50 hours or even a lot more. The main story though is more than enough to really get big joy out of this game, and it's a quick one if you're looking for a high quality adventure. The Darkest Dungeon is a heck of a turn-based RPG title that's not designed for the faint of heart. From the moment that you step into the game, you are greeted with a grim atmosphere with its dark hand-drawn art style, setting the tone for the intense journey that lies ahead. And trust me, it gets crazy. It's like a dungeon crawler with a gothic twist. Darkest Dungeon is known for its insanely challenging battles and difficulty that requires some serious strategic gameplay. But unlike other games, it's not just the physical threats that players need to worry about, but also the toll on the character's sanity as they experience mental trauma in these battles. Each character in your party has a set of quirks and fears that you need to account for before making any moves, which only adds to the game's punishing gameplay. And by the way, if you end up messing up, your characters will die permanently and you will lose them forever. Alright, stepping away from the grimness, we're gonna go into something that's a little bit more relaxing, a relaxing journey called Disney Dreamlight Valley. This is an exceptional life simulation game with all your favorite Disney and Pixar characters. It's kind of like a Sims meets Animal Crossing in the Disney world, where you can do all kinds of fun things such as gardening and cooking and fishing, solving puzzles, or casually hanging out with your favorite characters to forge new friendships. Then there are the quests and tasks that you can take on to get a chance to experience the game's unique story arcs that are constantly evolving with new updates every once in a while. It's a great game for Disney fans that offers hours and hours of exciting life simulation gameplay. So for me, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is one of the best Star Wars games in the entire franchise for a few reasons. For starters, the game offers a fast-paced Souls-like combat that requires precision, strategy, and reflexes in order to dodge, parry, and attack your enemies in thrilling sword fights, or should I say lightsaber fights. But when you're not busy doing all of that, Jedi Fallen Order lets you definitely explore some awesome parts of the Star Wars universe. The exploration really comes packed with intricate puzzles, platforming challenges, and hidden secrets that are scattered throughout the galaxy for you to uncover. Whether you're a hardcore Star Wars fan or a total newbie looking to dip your toes in the series, Jedi Fallen Order is one to absolutely go for. Now it's time to take the stress away with some nostalgic racing experiences in Hot Wheel Unleashed. And if you're someone who enjoys arcade racing, I feel like this is a no-brainer. It's a high-octane, colorful, and thrilling racing experience that perfectly recreates the iconic Hot Wheels tracks and environments. From loop-de-loops to insane jumps, you get to race across some of the most fun and challenging tracks or build your own from scratch with the game's handy editor tools. But the best part is you can actually play this game with your buddies in a 2-player split-screen mode or join a party of 12 players online for the ultimate racing challenge. Assassin's Creed Origins is a title that marked a shift in our beloved Assassin's Creed series by introducing a more RPG-focused gameplay on top of its signature open-world exploration. Set against the stunning backdrop of ancient Egypt, Origins introduced and improved upon many gameplay mechanics, including the leveling system, the skill tree, and even the loot system, which really brought a fresh layer of depth to character progression. The combat system also received an overhaul, adopting a more challenging and tactical feel. All of this combined really makes Assassin's Creed Origins a must-play title for someone who craves good storytelling together with strong character development with a touch of history. Now, if you're looking for a less talking, more action kind of RPG experience, you might want to give Monster Hunter Rise a try. The game puts you in the shoes of a brave hunter risking his life for the sake of his village Kamura. The action in this game is nuts. You've got an arsenal of weapons at your disposal that you can use to take on these colossal monsters, things like massive swords to swift blades. You can really go crazy with the choices at hand, and if you ever feel powerless against against these beasts. You can also team up with 3 other players in multiplayer for some epic monster smashing sessions together. So if you feel like you have what it takes to hunt these massive monsters down, grab their loot and craft gear to become one of the best hunters in town, you're going to want to give this one a shot on Game Pass. Our next game is Hollow Knight, and this game completely redefined the way we look at indie games. It's an action platformer masterpiece that comes packed with stunning hand-drawn art, tight gameplay, and brilliant storytelling that keeps you hooked on for hours. Speaking of gameplay, the exploration and combat are really where this game shines the brightest. You get to explore a vast and interconnected world filled with secrets, shortcuts, and hidden lore, and uncovering those secrets often leads to intense, fast-paced battles with all sorts of monsters. Hollow Knight really is a testament to how indie games can rival and maybe even surpass big-budget AAA titles. No Man's Sky is literally the definition of how a post-launch support can really turn a game destined for complete disaster into a fan-favorite open-world title and maybe one of the most beloved today. If you guys don't already know, No Man's Sky is a space exploration and survival game that puts you in the shoes of an explorer trying to survive and thrive in an infinite procedurally generated universe, and it offers players an expansive sandbox where they can freely explore, trade, fight, and fly around a variety of unique planets in their spaceship. The freedom in this game is highly unusual compared to a lot of games today, and you can do all sorts of cool and awesome things like gathering resources to building bases with other players, exploring planets, to even taking over rival settlements. You really have a lot to do here, but it's not without purpose. The game also has a central story and community events that kind of give you a sense of purpose and direction to follow throughout. If this is one that you haven't played yet, I absolutely couldn't recommend it more, even if you're not even a sci-fi lover. So the Mass Effect Legendary Edition is a package that contains 3 mainline Mass Effect games, 1, 2, and 3, and you can play them for free if you have an active Game Pass subscription. Now, there's no denying the fact that the Mass Effect series offers really one of the most satisfying RPG experiences in the world. You play as the legendary Commander Shepard, a character whose story is shaped entirely by player choices, and they don't just affect your own character but also the entire fate of the galaxy. And what's even cooler is how they've built the whole universe with aliens and politics and people just going about their business, adding more life to the game world. You can talk to NPCs, you can build relationships, you can hang out with your crewmates, you can engage in, of course, intense gunfights, but you can do so much more. And the thing that sets Mass Effect apart from other RPGs is how the games are all tightly connected. The decisions that you make in the first game will carry on to the next one and even the final game, all connected together, which makes the choices that you make throughout your entire experience all the more important. So of course I couldn't not add an awesome strategy game to this list. I'm going to add my very favorite one, and one that if you have Game Pass you should definitely give Crusader Kings 3 a shot. It's an epic medieval strategy game that lets you rule a dynasty spanning multiple generations with incredible in-depth gameplay. Unlike many other games in the genre, Crusader Kings 3 is actually all about experiencing and crafting your own story than it is winning strategic battles, though you can do that too if you want. The characters in this game are not just pawns on a strategic board, they're actually dynamic figures with their own aspirations, relationships, and genetic traits that pass down through the generations. And oh, by the way, that comes with a lot of bad things too. They can have very many negative traits that'll affect your character, or maybe your own character has these really bad negative traits, things like lustful or a big liar or something. And while the game can be super challenging due to its super in-depth gameplay, I think you can have so much fun with this. Don't be intimidated, because on first glance it does look complicated. Me, as even a total newbie, was able to follow everything, and you'll just see how the story unfolds. This is my favorite strategy game, and one that I absolutely recommend if you want to play an awesome strategy game on Xbox Game Pass. But if you're looking for a stealth game, you could never go wrong with one of my favorite series and franchises in Hitman, and today I bring you not one but 3 of the best Hitman games in one package. I'm talking about the Hitman World of Assassination, the ultimate playground for stealth enthusiasts, where you get to step into the shoes of Agent 47 and experience the best Hitman trilogy. From the glamorous streets of Paris to the bustling markets of Marrakesh, World of Assassination sends you on some crazy missions to take out high-profile targets in any way you want. Whether you prefer the silent approach, donning disguises and blending into the crowd, or you're just more of that guns blazing type that just wants to shoot everything down, there's going to be something for everyone in this game. Alright, let's end this on something that doesn't need an introduction. The Fallout series is one of those that's just an epic series, epic franchise. This post-apocalyptic RPG franchise has graced the gaming world with some of the best games ever, and thanks to Game Pass you can play not one but all 4 mainline Fallout games. That includes Fallout 3, 4, 76, and New Vegas. This series offers a wild mix of chaos, dark humor, intense gunplay, and a whole lot of radioactive exploration. From the Capital Wasteland in Fallout 3 to the post-nuclear nuclear Boston in Fallout 4. Every corner is packed with hidden stories, strange encounters, morally ambiguous choices that help shape your destiny in these games. But that's not all, guys. You have the intense combat and gunfights, the series signature dark humor, the open world exploration, and of course a cast of quirky characters, all with their own unique personalities and skills that you'll meet along the way. If you love gaming in general, I really think you got to give this series a shot. Oh, and by the way, it's a great time to play it now because we're on the cusp of the new TV show being made on Amazon with the Fallout universe in 2024, so definitely a good time to jump into this one. But if you want a list of the best co-op games to play with friends on Game Pass, I have a video for you right there on the screen.